separated from my ex-husband, I moved to Washington State from Massachusetts to be closer to my family. I stayed with my parents for a few months until I was able to get an affordable place of my own. In February 2016, I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. I became friends with another parent who lived in the neighborhood across from me. He was a nice guy who had moved to Washington with his family from Arizona. Our kids were similar in age and they attended the same school. I had only been in the apartment for a few weeks when my neighbor approached me one day while I was getting groceries out of my car. He said, "Hey, if you ever have any issues with the neighbor who lives above you, just know you're not the problem. Other people in this neighborhood have had issues with her, and management has moved her around at least 3 times. I've never had any problems with neighbors in the past, so I was hoping that I wouldn't have any issues with her." Nonetheless, I took heed to his words of caution. Well, problems started when my children were laughing and playing in the living room while watching television. My neighbor abruptly came downstairs and proceeded to bang on my door. My mom, who was visiting at the time, answered the door and she apologized to my neighbor. She looked really upset, but she accepted the apology and left. I got the feeling that my neighbor did not like me very much. There were a few occasions where I would catch her peering at me through the blinds of her window. I also began to experience unusual things happening in my home. For instance, when I was cleaning my kitchen, a cup was tossed across the kitchen counter. Another time, when I was home alone, the lid from a trash can was aggressively knocked off. One day, while I was sitting in my car getting ready to leave, my neighbor drove up and parked a few spaces away from me. I watched as she got out of her car with a friend whom I recognized as the assistant manager. She aggressively walked over to my apartment and threw some type of substance on my doormat. After that, I began to experience even more frightening phenomenons in my home, not just the casual objects moving here and there. One night, I was sleeping in bed and I began to experience sleep paralysis. My eyes were halfway open, and I felt the pillow next to me move and hover over my face. I could actually see the pillow as it came down onto my face, as if an invisible force was attempting to smother me with it. I was having difficulty breathing, so in my